Coming into the regional semifinals in D7, Region 25, the Warren JFK Eagles will be back in their friendly confines for another week as they host Dalton. And to preview that game, we bring in the head football coach of Warren JFK, Dom Prologo. He joins us on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. Coach, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good. Doing good. All right, so last week, you guys survived a great effort by Norwalk St. Paul. We talked a little bit about this team leading up to the game on Friday night. Were you surprised with anything that Norwalk St. Paul did during the course of the game, Coach?
No. I think when we talked last week, if you remember, I think I said I felt like they were an underseeded team. They're a very good program and a very good football team, really physical, great tradition. And no, what they ran offensively and defensively was what we expected. It's just, when they got down at halftime, a great program with a lot of pride is going to battle back. And they did a great job of that. And, we didn't do a good job of closing the game out. We gave up. We got a little soft there in the third quarter. That's what I told our kids. And in the fourth quarter, we gave up a home run, and so that kept them in the game. But at the end of the day, that's a heck of a program with a heck of a coaching staff, and so I didn't expect anything different than what we got from them. No.
You bring in a team that I don't even know if they're similar or not, but Dalton is one of those teams in the eastern central part of the state of Ohio around Worcester that's year in, year out. They're a solid program, probably better in basketball than they are in football. But looking at them on film, are they a similar team to Norwalk St. Paul?
No. They're not. They are. They're one of the more diverse offenses that we've faced this year. They do a lot of things offensively that challenge you. They force your kids to make sure they're lined up correctly to every formation in the book. And so, no, they're not. St. Paul is a team that's going to come right at you. This team is very diverse, and they do a lot of things that put you in a position that you're trying to make sure that you're lined up correctly. And if you're not, they're going to make you pay.
Okay, is there a team that you have played this year that is similar in the way Dalton is?
Well, with their diversity, I would say that the closest team diversity-wise might be, I'm drawing a blank, the Academy, Gilmore Academy. They're probably, diversity-wise, Gilmore Academy is probably the closest team to them. But as far as skill goes, their skill reminds me a lot of what we faced against St. Thomas Aquinas. Very skilled. They're going to be a lot of wildcats. Their quarterbacks are very, very athletic. And so, yeah, there's a little bit of things that we've seen from other teams that have prepared us for this. I'll tell you the exact same thing I told my kids. This team, because of their diversity, it's like in school. You get all these different chapters through the year, and hopefully you weren't cramming for them because this is your cumulative final.
Yeah, it makes an awful lot of sense. And the other thing that makes an awful lot of sense, especially if you're someone that is able to schedule 6 completely different teams, if you're not in a division, you can have that opportunity to schedule teams that have different type of offense or different types of defense. So when the tournament comes and the playoffs come, you're going to be able to look back and say, okay, this team reminds us of this team, and what did we do against this particular game, this particular team on this particular week? And it seems to me like you guys have faced some diversity in all kinds of different styles of the game, which I think is going to help you guys long term.
No doubt. And watch, we have a bunch of their films. and watching what we've seen that they've encountered from their opponents, they haven't seen an offense like ours, and they haven't seen the diversity that like ours would be either. Because, like you said, they're in a league. You hit it on the head. They're in a league, and every team in that league offensively seems to want to run the same type of offense. So they haven't seen, the diversity that maybe we're going to bring to the table, and so that's going to help us tremendously. And it goes back to the way we're forced to schedule around here, and we never have made excuses for that. We say, because of our history and our success, we get it why we got to schedule the way we do, and that's fine. We embrace that, and it helps us in the playoffs. That's what this is about. So yeah, I think preparedness, our schedule's got us ready for something like this.
Talk a little bit about your guys' performance offensively. I know that it was a very close game, but my goodness, it's trying to stop you guys offensively is trying to stop a boulder that's coming downhill. You're not going to stop. You're going to get run over if you try to stop this boulder. It's kind of like the same thing trying to stop you guys. It doesn't happen. It's not going to happen. They can slow you down, but you're not going to get stopped.
Yeah, the one game we didn't put a lot of points on the board. You can look at one thing, and that's us. You can just look at all the penalties we had that day, the turnovers we had that day, and that's why we won a ball game 6-0. If we don't have all those penalties and those turnovers, our offense this year has been pretty prolific, and we've got some players, and our coaches have done a good job of getting the ball in their hands. And but I would be remiss if I didn't start both sides of the ball up front. And, I think our offensive line has done a tremendous job this year of opening holes and giving our quarterbacks time to get the ball to those playmakers and let them go do their thing. Our offensive line and defensive line, they've won the line of scrimmage in pretty much every game. The one game I would say that we didn't, we won it the first half of the Howling game. The second half, they dominated the line of scrimmage. So, and that's why the score ended up what it was. Against St. Paul, first half, they only ran 8 offensive plays in the first half because our offense just dominated the first half of the game. Again, though, turnover hurt us on one drive in the red zone, and then the first half ended with us in the red zone, and penalties cost us getting any points on that drive. So, the game could have, because of how well our offense was playing, could have really been out of reach by halftime, but instead we let them hang around. Again, turnovers and penalties. It's two things that we've got to get cleaned up if we want to be the team we want to be.
Warren JFK head football coach Dom Prologo joining me on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. And isn't it interesting, Coach? Every year you keep hearing the folks that want to talk about the newfangled stuff, whether it be option, read option, whether it be we're going to do a hurry up offense, we're going to do this offensively, we're going to do that offensively. Hey, look, here's a news flash that everyone needs to understand and everyone needs to memorize. You ain't going to do a damn thing unless your offensive line gets the job done. Period. End of story. Class dismissed.
100% right. That's 100. You can try to do all the smoke and mirrors you want, but eventually you're going to play somebody that smoke and mirrors isn't going to work, and you're going to have to win the game up front. And that's the bottom line. If you can win up front, you've always got a chance. And I would venture to say that that's how it was 35 years ago when I played, and that's how it probably was 60 years ago when my dad played. You win up front, and you win the ball game. And that's the bottom line. So right now, you're 100% right. All these new things that are out there, you still got to win up front.
Well, and look, you don't necessarily have to win the middle of the line. Look, I saw a game on Saturday night. Crestview played Garrettsville Garfield. Crestview couldn't do anything right when they tried to run the ball up the middle, but off tackle, and doing the jet sweeps and power sweeps. Oh my God, they were chunking yardage off of Garrettsville Garfield. So it's just because you can't do something in between the guards or up the middle or A gap, B gap, it doesn't mean that you can't run. I mean, if you go off tackle and you're able to use your speed that way, the offensive line does its job by keeping everyone where they are, so your guys can perform the sweeps and the off tackle runs.
No doubt. You hit the nail on the head. And you know, defensively, it's the same thing. You know, you not only got to be strong up the middle. That's probably one of the things that's kind of exempt. That's probably gone where now it's you have to defend 53 yards wide. Where maybe years ago you didn't. You know, you had to defend maybe hash to hash at a time. But so I guess these new offenses have forced you to defend 53 yards wide. But, you know, at the end of the day, you know, on defense, if you're strong up the middle and you can tackle on the perimeter, you're always going to have a chance, no matter who you're playing against, no matter their size or anything. If you can tackle on the perimeter and you're strong up the middle defensively, you got a chance. And then offensively, you're 100% right. You know, even these offenses that everybody says, boy, they do a good job of getting the ball out in space to people. Somebody had to block so that quarterback could get him the ball. Somebody had to block so that guy could get the edge. You know, you know, offensive linemen, you know, they don't get enough credit for how much work they do downfield. That's what, if you come to one of our practices, that's what our offensive line is getting yelled at constantly, is to continue to work downfield and find that next guy, climb that ladder and get to the next level.
Well, that and speed kills, and you can say that on both sides of the ball. Look, I mean, if the big uglies up front are doing their job defensively, clogging the middle, you better have those linebackers, especially the outside linebackers and the strong safety and the free safety on a running play. They better be coming downhill in a very, very quick pattern to plug the holes. And then offensively, if you're able to run a jet sweep, make sure that the guy hanging on to the ball is someone that either has incredible moves or runs like the wind, and it just speed kills. And in a game, and your coach, you nailed it too. I mean, 53 yards wide. It wasn't that long ago where the field in Ohio high school football was condensed to a phone booth. Now everyone's figured out, wait a second, we got 53 yards worth of real estate to do, and now everyone's pushing the envelope, and now you better have some speed on the edges, otherwise you're not going to go anywhere.
That's 100% right. You know, it's 100% right. So, you know, we're fortunate that our offensive line has had a great season for us, and knock on wood, they've stayed healthy. We're also fortunate that we've got some guys on the perimeter that can do some things with the ball in their hands. And, you know, obviously we have Cam Hollabaugh. You know, when it's all said and done, if that kid doesn't win every single Division VII award, then I should just quit coaching. He's just, you know, that's the one wild card that JFK brings to the table that nobody else does.
He's a good player. There's no two ways about it. And it's not just in football. He's a tremendous basketball player. He's a tremendous baseball player. One would argue, regardless of division, this kid might be athletically one of the best athletes in the state of Ohio.
I'm right with you. There's not a program in this area. You got to remember, I spent a lot of years coaching at Canfield in Division II. We played at a high level. We went to a state championship. This kid would start on every Canfield team I coached, and that was D2 at the time. There's not a program in this area that he wouldn't be a starter and probably be their star. You know, so I give, you know, he's a tremendous football player, and our kids know that we've got a couple of guys that can take the ball to the house at any time. And when you're an offensive lineman, I wasn't an O-lineman, but I'm going to tell you, if I'm an offensive lineman and I'm blocking for a guy like Cam or a guy like Jesse Likens or Sejan Kudo, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, if I do my job, this might go to the house. And there's a lot of teams out there that probably don't have that mindset because their kid may turn into a 20-yard game. So we've got some guys who can absolutely flat out play. Athletically.
How important is that for you, Coach, to have the conversation with everyone? And the conversation goes like this: make sure that you're doing your job and you trust the other 10 guys on the field. Your 10 brothers will do their job. Nobody tries to do anything extra. Just do your job and trust that your 10 brothers are going to do the exact same thing you're planning on doing, and that's going to be our success.
Yeah, I was fortunate when I got hired here that I took over a program that the culture had already been kind of changed here, and I was part of that changing of that culture. Or maybe I shouldn't say changing. I'm saying bring back the culture they used to have here, and that is, Coach Begg did a great job of getting our kids to believe that we were a good football team, and believe that we could play great defense or great offense, and believe we had a chance to win every Friday. And then the other part of it was getting everybody to buy into trusting your brother. If you're supposed to be a C-gap player, be that C-gap player. And trust, don't try to bounce out to the D-gap because the guy gives you a move out there. Trust your safeties running the alley. And so I was fortunate to take over a program that we had already got that culture there. A lot of first-time head coaches like myself, they don't get that. They're not that fortunate. They're normally taking over a program because let's face it, if they're looking for a coach, things probably haven't been going very well there. And I was fortunate that I took over a program that things were going well. We had a lot of returning players. So all I had to do was continue to build upon, that brick foundation that Coach Bank had put in place here. And, I'm also fortunate that I've got to coach with, Jeff Bayek for a lot of years, and he coached me. And I got to coach with Mike Papp. Those guys, they do it right, and they're really good at what they do. I mean, make no mistake that there's a reason that Canfield's still playing in what I call Week 12 of the playoffs. There's a reason that JFK's here, and Jeff Bayek has fingerprints all over the JFK team being here. And Canfield, obviously, Mike Papp just does a phenomenal job. So I've been fortunate to be around them, and hopefully the things that I've learned from them are helping us to get to the next place we want to be.
Now, I know that it's way, 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 way too early to even be discussing the opportunity that JFK might have, because you still got to earn that opportunity. But you go back into coaching lore, and I'll even go a step further back from Coach Bayek, Tony Napolet. Tony Napolet was able to deliver the state championship. Coach Bayek able to deliver a state championship, and knock on wood, pray to the football gods and pray to the God. You are given an opportunity this year to have that same hardware. One of the things I love about Kennedy is the tradition of, okay, I'm not going to be the first one to have won a state championship, but I'm going to be following in a group of people that had this opportunity. And I got to imagine for you as a coach, that's the challenge for you, that you pass on to your kids, that if you want to join this rarefied era of greatness, you are going to have to win 4 more games.
It's funny that you bring that up because, earlier in the year we talked as a team. And what are our goals? Seniors, what are our goals? Juniors, what are our goals? And at the end of the day, obviously, at a program like ours, having a goal of winning a state championship is not unrealistic. That's what you should be shooting for. We don't have a league title to win. So when we sat down and talked and we had those conversations, one of the things I reminded them was, there's a billboard outside of our field that, it talks about all the past teams, the 27 years that JFK's been in the playoffs, the amount of teams that have won regional championships. I think we've been in the state championship game 5 or 6 times, and we've won 2 of them. And, and so I talked to them about that day, grabbing a seat at the table. I said, there's a lot of different places in the auditorium, on the night of the banquet that you can sit. You know, there you can see you can be outside taking pictures of all the great teams that played before you because you didn't make the playoffs. You could be in the inside and be in the upper deck because you got in the playoffs and lost in week 1. I said, if you're a regional champion, I said, you're sitting in the audience right outside. I said, if you get to the state championship, you're sitting in the front row. I said, but guess what, guys? There's only 2 teams that actually have a seat at the table. If you want a seat at that table, it's there. You just got to go get it.
How important is this game, given the elements? Now, we may not have rain in the forecast on Friday. Who knows? But it's pouring down rain now. How important is this game to be played on the turf at Mollenkopf?
Oh, it's tremendous. You know, I talked to the guys. We're going to be the game of the week, and I was talking to those guys on the phone today in an interview about the game, and I had told them that, you know, one of our keys was that we got that number 1 seed, because, you know, I was really nervous that, you know, the Howland game was going to be played prior to us voting, and let's face it, there's nobody else in D7 playing a team like Howland, and I didn't want that to come into play and be something that, hey, we're playing against a D3 team. If we're not fortunate enough to win this, it costs us home field advantage. When they told us that was not going to be included, we were going to vote before that game, I was ecstatic, because being the number 1 seed is huge, because Dalton has a grass field, Lucas has a grass field, McDonald has a grass field. So, you know, if you're not the number 1 seed, this week you're playing on grass. Next week you're playing on grass, and it's just like McDonald this week. You know, they've got to go up and play at Lucas on a grass field that's probably going to be underwater. You know, today, they're saying we're supposed to be today up till tomorrow morning. We're supposed to have a good inch of rain. Well, if you're playing on a grass field, you're going to be underwater, and if that's the case, you know, how does that alter the game? You know, now it's not just mano-a-mano. There's things that are going to happen in the game that are caused because of the field. But, you know, Ron, we've told our kids, and my old head coach used to say it to me, Dick Angle, we've told our kids for 30 years as coaches, the team that handles the elements the best, the cold, the snow, the rain, the wind, that's the team that's going to win the game. So if you can go out and practice in this like we do, and go out and not let the elements become a factor, you're going to have a great opportunity to win the game. So, but yeah, you'd hate to see a game come down to the field cost us the ball game. And it happens. Unfortunately, it happens.
Well, that won't be the case on Friday, because Mollenkopf is turf, and unless you have freezing rain, then there won't be any slipping and sliding, because it's perfect for it's just perfect for football. And again, hopefully, knock on wood, we don't have temperatures in the low 30s, upper 20s where it could freeze, and I don't think that's supposed to be in the forecast. So
I think we're going to be okay.
Yeah, absolutely, and we're going to leave it at that, because look, next week there could be the possibility of an all-local matchup. Even if McDonald loses to Lucas, you're going to be playing. If you get past Dalton, you'll be playing a very difficult team, whether it's Lucas or McDonald. But I'm going to wait on that, because I'm not going to fall into the trap of asking a coach to speculate on a game that isn't necessarily set in stone, because you still got work to do Friday night. I've learned my lesson. Thank you very much.
All we're worried about right now is are we good enough to beat Dalton? Can we go out and play our game and beat Dalton? And if we can, then, again, we're one step closer to getting that seat at the table that we want.
There you go. Coach, always a pleasure. Look forward to hopefully a Kennedy victory on Friday, and let's do this again next week.
Sounds great. Thank you very much.
You got it. Dom Prologo, the head football coach of the Warren JFK Eagles. Let's take a timeout and be back with more. It's a Thursday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Back in a bit.